here. Before I get started, I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow is the last day to sign up to receive an ARC of my newest collection of short stories, A Weighted Soul and Other Dark and Twisted Tales. If you would like to get an advance copy in exchange for an honest review, please fill out the Google form below and yeah. Hopefully you enjoy it. So the topic of today's video is going to be words and phrases that you really should not include in your writing. Now, of course, there are going to be exceptions to these that I'm going to be addressing as I go through the list, but for the most part, these are just going to drag your story down and kind of just drag it out and not make it as tight and as clean as you might like it to be. So here are some quick and easy phrases that you can instantly cut from your story. Number one is the phrase, I felt. Now, we are told from a very young age when we start writing to show and not tell in our work, and obviously I felt is the epitome of telling and not showing. So say you have a sentence like, I felt the water drip down my back from the rain. The I felt isn't necessary. All you need to say is the water dripped down my back from the rainfall. That's it. So I felt is just reiterating whatever's going on. You might need to change the sentence structure a little bit, but for the most part, you can really cut I felt from your work. Now again, obviously there are exceptions if you want to iterate something in a certain way, but for the most part, not necessary. The second word to cut from your work is the word very. It's easy to put the word very in front of a description to make it seem more intense or more real, but to be honest, it's not really adding anything to your work. If you're trying to say someone is very angry, say they're enraged. If you're trying to say someone is very excited, you can say they're elated or that they're, I don't know, describe what's going on. Very is just reiterating what you're already writing, and it's not really adding anything. If you're not giving description or reason for the reader to believe that they're very blank, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, and it's just gonna be extra fluff that you do not need in your story. The third thing I want to address is kind of specific, but it drives me crazy. It's when you say standing up or sitting down, or even laying down, honestly. Because standing, sitting, laying, kneeling, all of those things, you already know whether the action is going up or down. You can just say, I sat in a chair. You don't need to say, I sat down in a chair. It's implied that you're sitting down. Or the same thing for standing. If you're saying that I stood up, all you have to say is I stood. The up and down is not necessary. So there's certain directional things that you don't need to address. And it just, again, cutting those little things will just make the story move a little bit faster and be a little bit tighter. Number 4 drives me crazy in my own writing because I know this is something I do a lot. It's the word that. For some reason, it is so easy to put that in literally every sentence, and you don't really need to. For example, here's a sentence that we can get rid of the word that. I whispered in her ear that I wanted to leave. Easy, seems like a pretty straightforward sentence, but to be honest, that is not really needed there. It's easy to just break the sentence down and change it up a little and say, I whispered in her ear, I want to leave. First of all, it's more direct. It's a more direct action. Instead of describing an action, you're saying exactly what's going on and exactly what's being said, and you're not paraphrasing it, saying that I wanted to leave. It just makes it a lot cleaner, a lot tighter, and honestly, one of the biggest words that I look for as I'm going through subsequent drafts of my book is that, because there's some paragraphs where I use that like 6 or 7 times, and it drives me crazy because there's so many more ways to be descriptive than just using that word. See, I even used it there. That word. Now, obviously, there are some places that you can't really get rid of that, but for the most part, I will find a ton of instances in my own work and sometimes in other people's work where you can kind of get by without using that word. Number 5 is the classic, it's said. Everyone says that you should not be using the word said in your writing, and honestly, they're right. There are so many better ways to describe how a line is being delivered than said, but I will say there are a couple of exceptions. I feel like you can use said in a certain connotation where it actually, you're able to deliver that emotion in a certain way where actually said makes it more powerful. For example, I wish I could remember what book this was, but I can't. There was a book where this woman had gone through this super tragic series of events, like crazy, like she had witnessed someone's death or something like that, and someone asked her how she was doing, and the line was along the lines of, "I'm fine," she said. After all of this crazy stuff that had happened, the reader understood that by using the word said, she was saying it in monotone, like she's just standing there, "I'm fine." And you know she's not fine, but because they used the word said there, like it was such a dichotomy of what was going on and how she was reacting that it was like kind of unnerving, to be honest. So that's a great instance where said is actually used appropriately, and because it's so weird in context for the reader not to have any reaction from the character, it works. So again, there are instances for everything. And last but not least, the final thing you should cut from your writing is saying emotions. So for example, so-and-so was angry, I am sad, they were feeling upset. This is so frustrating because there are so many cool ways to describe what's going on in your character's mind, in your character's head, how they're feeling, how they're expressing these emotions. And a lot of times characters aren't just feeling one emotion. They can be excited and nervous. They can be angry and upset. All of these different emotions can be combined. So if you're having trouble kind of explaining how a character is feeling without using those like emotion words, I highly recommend the Emotion Thesaurus. I use it all of the time. It has a ton of different vocabulary, and you just pick whatever your character is feeling, like happy, sad, angry, grieving, jealous, all of that stuff. And then it gives you a list of ways that you can describe how your character is feeling in that instance. And they also give a ton of other words that you can use instead of jealous that are a little bit more descriptive and can pinpoint a little more directly how your character is feeling. So definitely describe the emotion and don't just state that your character is feeling that way. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys are able to tighten up your work a little bit more and just make it a little more crisp and precise. Again, just a final reminder, tomorrow is the last day to sign up for my ARC review team of A Weighted Soul, so link below if you haven't had a chance to fill it out already. Did I miss any words that you could cut from your story? Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Thank you for stopping by. Bye!